Hey friends! Welcome to the Drug Prevention Power Hour, where we empower leaders in youth drug prevention. After creating a student-led movement hosting epic drug-free events across the nation, your host, Jake White, dedicated himself to making the prevention field more fun, impactful, and relevant for today's youth. So if you're in education, counseling, public health, prevention, or just a caring adult looking for strategies to protect your kids, we hope you subscribe and learn from every show. Coming to you from Jake White and his team at Vive 18. Enjoy this episode of the Drug Prevention Power Hour.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Drug Prevention Power Hour. I'm your host, Jake White with Vive 18, and today we are hanging out with a new friend, Elijah Desmond. And to give you a little bit of background information on Elijah, he is the vice president of Beyond the Game and Motivational Concerts, a former multi-sport athlete in football, wrestling, track, and basketball. Elijah is now a motivator, keynote speaker, educator, leader, philanthropist, innovator, inspirational speaker, and social media influencer, DJ, and best-selling author. From a young age, he was inspired by community outreach and understood that youth are the future. His foundation, The Ladder of Life, is a lifelong dream of his that has become the reality. He shares his own motivational message to high school students in hopes of positively influencing their lives, and the foundation gives back to students and communities in need through scholarships and mission programs. He's spoken over 700 hours throughout his career and aspires to spread his message worldwide. Beyond the Game is a platform that allows him to give back to the next generation of kids. So Elijah, it's good to have you on the Drug Prevention Power Hour, my man.
Thanks, Jake. Happy to be here. And man, when you took me through that bio, I don't hear that bio often. There's another bio that I hear. But when you took me through that bio, you took me actually back to my childhood, watching my dad put on community events and doing all these things around kids. And I actually never put two and two together until like hearing that.
Whoa. You're the legacy, man.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
That's cool. Well, let's get to know you a little bit more, Elijah. Where are you from? And then what's maybe one of the favorite things that you get to do for, I guess, you know, your multitude of jobs, but to get to kind of hone in on what you do and why you love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, originally I'm from Ohio. I graduated from the Ohio State University. Proud national champs. Yep. And I lived there, graduated from Ohio State and moved to the beautiful islands of Hawaii. I lived there for a few years, then to Vegas. Now I am living in Florida. I've been here for the past decade. I live in South Florida, Wellington, down here with my two beautiful little girls and wife. So I have a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I think you said, what's the most fun thing that I do? The most fun thing, or the thing I love to do the most, is actually make people laugh, dance, and sing as a DJ. That's the most fun thing that I do. There's a lot of different emotions that you can use. You use the word fun, and so by far, it's making people jump and laugh and dance and sing. DJing in the past 3 years after graduating as a battle DJ, I've been in 9 countries and about 30 different cities in the U.S.
Wow.
And I'm off to Iceland tomorrow, by the way.
What? You
Yes.
are? Oh my gosh, dude. I don't know if have you heard of the Icelandic prevention model?
I have not, no.
Oh my gosh. It's fascinating. So since we're on the Drug Prevention Power Hour, I definitely got to take this opportunity. They have this prevention model that just made waves, like decreased substance use for adolescents. I want to say like more than 50%. But it was one that caught the world's attention. And what they basically did was they took this word we talked about, fun, and they incorporated that into a young person's life, to the tune of, hey, if we gave students such an amazing life that they wouldn't even want to use drugs, what would that look like? So all the activities in town, if you want to take guitar lessons, if you want to do gymnastics, if you want to go and go to the skate park, everything is free. There are no barriers between you doing incredible things as a young person. Another thing they did that was really wild is they got the whole community on board with developing healthy kids. So the parents got education, the schools were on the same page, law enforcement, and they even did things like saying everyone has to be in their house for dinner every night. Like, I don't know how they did this, but mandatory dinner time as a family. And they saw waves happen. I'm sure there's more to that in the plan, but that's what I remember when I heard about this model. I saw them speaking at a conference and they achieved huge results because they're not focusing on the negative, the
Mhm.
drug problems. They're focusing on the positive and what we could do instead.
That's awesome. That is super awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll get to see firsthand like what a community looks like around there. I'm
Yeah,
super
why?
jealous.
I'm going back actually. I was there in November for a entrepreneur retreat, and I DJ'd at their biggest nightclub as well, and I loved it so much. I'm going back. So second time, I'll have my eyes wide open for this type of stuff, though.
There you go, man. Well, I want to ask you about two things. The first one being you do speaking to students. You've spoken
Mhm.
all over the nation, maybe even the world, and then you have these motivational concerts, which I'm
Yep.
super intrigued by. So, can you tell me more about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I tested into college at a young age. At 15 years old, I tested into college, and my big, call it claim to fame. A lot of people will look at it in a negative light. I look at it in a positive light. I've never read a book in my life because I have a learning disability. I can read you a story, but I cannot tell you what I read. I can read an entire chapter and can tell you the first thing that I read. Um, I can't retain it essentially. However, I got good at learning in other ways, and I tested into college at 15 years old. And I went to an amazing camp called the Hugh O'Brien Leadership Camp. I heard my first motivational speaker, and I knew that I belonged with a microphone in my hand. And so I started speaking at 15 years old, tested into college at 15 years old, and basically as I grew older. I'm 37 years old now, by the way. As I grew older, my story got better, and I caught an addiction, and my addiction wasn't drugs. My addiction was actually knowing that I had the ability to save kids' lives and not be a doctor. And so there's no better feeling than getting on the stage and walking off the stage and being a regular person, but yet having the longest line of kids um, stand in line to get my autograph, sign my book, give me a hug. But the biggest is getting a hug from the kids, the not a regular hug, but the hug that where they don't let go.
Hmm.
And that hug is typically includes a wet shoulder because they're crying, and at least one or two kids will tell me that they were going to go home that night and commit suicide, but the reason they didn't is because of the words that I said from the stage. And that's the addiction that I got at a young age, knowing that I had that power to save somebody through vulnerable storytelling.
Wow.
And so anyhow, I have been doing that since 15 years old. And before the pandemic, I decided that I would go to school, back to school, to become a DJ, to host these events that I could have a bigger impact. So typically, I'm speaking to one high school, and I said, "Well, man, I want to speak to many high schools." So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to school to become a DJ, and I'm going to do create something called a motivational concert. In a motivational concert, essentially, you put 5 to 10 kids in a high school football stadium, and you have music that kicks it off, and you need a DJ to play the music. And I'm already a hype man, and so I'll be on the microphone and playing music at the same time. And once that music goes, gets the kids going, I have three speakers. One of the speakers is actually a celebrity performer, different one every time. and that celebrity performer performs for 10 or 15 minutes and then speaks for 10 or 15 minutes. The other speakers have music in between them, walk on songs, etc. And then they give a message for 20 to 30 minutes each. And then I give my message last. We give out a new car to a high school student who gives back to their community, volunteers in their community, is a good person, gets good grades, but they're in a bad situation at home.
Hmm.
We give us some scholarships away as well. A scholarship for entrepreneurship, a scholarship for dentistry, and a scholarship for music and entertainment to a senior. So the car scholarship goes to a sophomore or a junior, and the senior gets the scholarship for college. And we bring different messages into the schools according to what the schools are suffering with. So
Okay.
we basically get different speakers each time. So some speakers focus on suicide prevention. Some speakers focus on, drug awareness, and some schools focus on things like bullying. Some focus on social media addiction. Some on purpose, etc. There's all different
Yeah.
types of topics, but at the end of the day, there's always different topics and different speakers, and it is a full blown concert. I had three of them planned before the pandemic, and they all got canceled because of the pandemic. And our first one is September the 3rd in Ohio. Um, and it's been something that we've been trying to get up and going, all because I was tired of affecting one high school at a time, and I wanted to save more than one or two lives at one swoop. So,
Dang. Okay, that's fascinating. I have 1,000 questions. The I love the model, and you're able to reach more people. Is who's the common person who says, Elijah, we want this here. Please coordinate with me to do it. Is that someone from the district? Is it someone from the health department? Who's saying, come do this with us?
yeah, it's basically right as of right now, it's the superintendents that we're dealing with and that are bringing us in, right?
Okay.
But typically it's one principal or one superintendent that's always had me come in and talk to somebody else, because it's not something that's marketed. It's
Right.
something that's all word of mouth. But the motivational concerts are new, so I
Okay.
don't know who will be
Okay.
calling. I just know that one superintendent caught wind of it, and now it's it's a thing. It's happening. So
That's cool. Okay, so at this point, you had mentioned there were some things lined up. The pandemic stopped it. Has there been? Are you still waiting on that first one to take place, or has there been a couple motivational concerts?
no, the first one's taking place September the 3rd.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so September the 3rd. There was three that were planned
Okay,
the year of the pandemic.
okay. Wow, that's so cool. I love the innovation from this, bro. Like, to how do we reach more students? And probably what helps too is you have more partners then to help pool resources to make it reality, because you got to
Yep.
reserve the venue, you got to get the equipment there, like speakers, everything that you need. You can pool their resources together. Is this something you imagine? Is it done during the school day where they get out of school, or is it a weekend night event? How do you imagine that?
Yeah. So it's 10:30 to 1 o'clock. So it's
All
during the
right.
day. It's during the day, and it
Okay.
gives the buses enough time because all the students need to be bussed in. So it gives the buses enough time to get back to the school. The longest school away is 45 minutes,
Okay.
but it gives them a chance to get back and get refueled. Everybody will be fed while they're there as well, and then it gives a chance for the buses to drop off all of the district. Right, you have elementary, middle school, and high school in the morning prior to get them enough time to get there as well.
Okay. Very cool. Dang. And if you had to break down, because you have such a variety of experiences and things that you've done, and we talked before, like before the show started, like you've run successful enterprises from the beginning all the way into being a fully operational business that is doing really, really well in many different fields. So
Hmm.
when you saw this opportunity to impact students, and you've already been running a successful speaking organization, what do you see as like the challenges of doing it this way, and like the the possible future of doing this? Like, do you have a vision for what where this could go, and where does it start from the unique challenges to the vision that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, there's one thing to put on a assembly or a pep rally, right? Or to give a talk at one high school. There is an entire other element if you're putting on a concert. So that's the challenge in itself, is you're putting on concerts. There's a lot of moving parts. And so initially, whenever I had this, big goal of doing this, I was wanting to do it, every month. And it's just not real. I mean, I'm already seeing like it takes a lot of times, a lot of bandwidth. And so this is going to be something more realistically that we'll do more like once a quarter instead. And so, when you look at bringing 5 to 10 high schools in one stadium, there's so much logistics. First off, it's expensive. You know,
Yeah.
I'm looking to raise between 75 and $100,000 per event just to put the thing on. What are obstacles? I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen a concert stage that's like a semi bed that's drove, like you ever see like a huge semi bed that comes down?
Yep. Yep.
So like getting that into the football field in the first place, like we have to cut the wire down potentially and then re-put it back up. Like that's a thing, right? If it rains, we have to find a place that we can go if it rains. Do we need to put stuff down over the turf? Because there's so many kids. You're talking about like, over 1,000 kids in one place. Where
Yeah.
do you put the community leaders and the parents at that are in a different place than the kids? That's a big thing. Um, there's a lot of moving parts, food, dietary restrictions. I mean, it's a full blown
Yeah.
event. How many police officers do you hire? How do can you put the car? How do you get the car on the field? Because we're driving a car onto these football fields. Well, what if it rains? Can you bring a car into the high school? Could those doors open up? I mean, you're going. There's just so many. There's so
Dang.
many. Yeah, there's so many moving parts.
Yeah, because now you're taking the ownership of being the production company and event manager. You're raising money to put this all on. You're coordinating, like you said, not one school, but 10 schools' opinions on when it should be and where it should be and how we're going to get there. Um, Kudos to you, bro. That is such a cool dream and vision. And I love to hear too that the excitement of yeah, we're giving away these giant prizes, scholarships, cars to students who are taking care of their community. What an amazing platform. Can you imagine being a high school student getting awarded for your awesome behavior in front of 1,000 students in your state?
Yeah.
Oh, I got chills just thinking about it, man.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of it stems back to the stuff that I personally went through, right? Like I personally I tested into college. I went to college early, but if I had parents that, were in a different situation, if I was working, I would have been giving them money to pay the bills. I didn't have to do that. I saved up my own, couple $1,000s, and then they added to that so I could buy my first Chevy Cavalier, right? My first car. But if I was not in a financial situation, or they weren't, I would have been out of luck. I wouldn't have been able to have the opportunity. Same thing with kids driving to work. How do kids get to work in the first place if they don't have a car, but they want to work? And if you don't work, you can't have money. And so, a car is a really big deal. But I think being a good person and setting that foundation is way more important than work or school.
Yeah.
And so, having the kids, we're having them write essays and, essentially apply, and they're not going to have any idea who's getting called to the stage. When we call them, bring them to the stage, they'll get a chance to get on the microphone and say what it's like to win the new car or the scholarships.
Dang. Okay, that's so inspirational, man. And I hope that people like right now listening to this, one of your thoughts is like, wow, dang, Elijah's onto something. That's really incredible. like wishing you the best, the other part of our brain hopefully is thinking, how can I do something creative and innovative to get high schoolers engaged in healthy decisions and to bring life-saving information and role models to them? Because you and I are traveling the country doing this, and that's great if they have the resources to partner with us and do it. And if you don't, that shouldn't stop you. Like, God has gifted you with a certain set of gifts that you could be taking an idea and running with it. Because I often think that innovation is just changing one thing. It's doesn't have to be inventing something completely new. And even for you, right? You're combining a concert with the motivational speaker like program. It doesn't take a genius to have that idea, but it takes a lot of hard work to make it happen. And for me and our platform is like, oh, we're going to throw a college house party. We're just going to remove one element, drugs. That's not a genius idea. Like, that's so easy, but it can change the world. And so I hope that if you're listening to this, I know you're the right kind of person who wants to change the world. The question is, what's one thing you could change to be innovative in your field and to attract students to want to come to your event and to incorporate things that they like? And it's going to look different than what, myself and Elijah are doing, but it's going to be just as impactful. So Elijah, I would love to end the episode just by hearing more about your story. We have about 10 minutes left. Why is it that if you had to break down what you do when you reach students, whether it's the stories you tell, the skills you give them, why is it so powerful?
Yeah. I think it's because you feel like you're on a lonely island when you're at rock bottom, and you feel like you're the only one that's experiencing these emotions and these feelings. And when somebody else tells you that they've been there too, and then tells you the story of what it's like, and you're like, oh my God, this is exactly how I'm feeling right now. And it took me everything to get to school today. And this is exactly how I'm feeling. And oh, by the way, um, now I have a solution on how I can get out of feeling like this. And it's okay to feel like this. I don't have to hide it. And there's other people that are just like you. Um, that's how you reach somebody, from being real and being vulnerable. I can get on stage and I can tell you all the things that I have and show you all the cool material things, and it will motivate a very small amount of people, but it will discourage way more people that I'll motivate.
Yeah.
Or I can get on stage and tell everybody all of the different ways that I've had obstacles and tough journeys and difficulties, and tell them about how normal of a human that I am, and all the sucky things that I had to go through to get to where I'm at, and then maybe give them a glimpse of what life is like,
Hmm.
and not rub it in, but show them what it could be like.
Yeah.
And then and that's how you resonate with somebody, instead of the I have this, I have that, here's what I am, this is what I do. Instead, meet somebody right where they're at. And also, you don't have to be talking to everybody. You should be talking to people that need you the most. And that's the people that I talk to, the people that need me the most.
Oof. That's so good. Elijah, it reminds me when I first started speaking, I had this insecurity that I wasn't cool enough or smart enough or attractive enough or anything, right? And I think that's relatable. We think that we're not enough. And so when I started, I'm like, oh, I have to overcompensate. I have to share a story about how I did something cool. When in reality, it's the opposite that actually relates to people. It's
Yep.
it's the thing that isn't cool. It's the thing that we did that was wrong. It's the failure that's so relatable. And whenever I'm working and teaching people about presenting and things like that, it's such a good tip to let someone else say the nice things about you. Let me read your introduction. Let someone else say the nice things, and then it's your job to show that you're a human and give us what I love you said too is the story to
Hmm.
connect with on how you've been when they're where they are and how you found a way out, because like you said too, it's not always we're not as bad as we think we are, and we're not as cool as we think we are either. Like there's people along the way that helped us get all this great stuff, and oftentimes that's the best lesson: is you're not alone. You can do this. There's people here around you to help.
Yeah, and if I can share just to leave, kind of a tip or a takeaway for everybody that's listening, because there's also somebody that's listening right now that's actually going through some stuff, and it's the truth. It might be one person, and that's okay. But I'll share what really works for me when you're at rock bottom, and what works for me is actually getting out of the bed because you want to go to sleep, you wake up, you want to go back to sleep, you wake up, you just want to go back to sleep because when you sleep, the pain goes away and if you sleep you just don't feel anything, right? And I've never been suicidal, but I have been freaking depressed. The way to get out of it is going and getting out of bed and going and helping somebody, going and helping people. And there's people that have it way worse. There's homeless people, there's people with no food, there's people with no clothes, there's people that are dying, there's people in cancer hospitals, there's people that have 10 days left to live. There are people that have worse for you. And there's people that want your time. There's people that people will not give them the time of day. And the most valuable thing that you have is time. You can give somebody time, even if you read them a book. If you go and you hold somebody's hand when they're lonely, don't have anybody, if you give somebody $1, you may have $10 in the bank, give them $1. You go and just help people. You feed them food. You help people when you are at the worst possible position. All of a sudden, your personal feelings, the things you're going through, they numb out. They're no longer things because you're so focused on other people, and before you know it, you're out of your hole. You're out of your rut.
Wow, that's powerful. That in your lowest moment, you could still serve others.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Dang, Elijah, this has been super cool. I'm like really glad we got to meet on here, and I'm cheering for you, dude. I can't wait to hear how this motivational concert concept is growing and going, especially on September 3rd. And then, is there, knowing that everyone here, they're working with young people, they care about them, and these are the professionals in the field that are listening. And we always want to do our job just a little bit better every single day. What parting piece of guidance would you give us to better do our jobs and to help support young people today? And then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give somebody the time. Give somebody the time of day. A lot of times people think things are about money and material things, and time is actually more important than the money. So give the people the time, and it'll be more rewarding than giving them something materialistic.
That's great. And then finally, how can people check out what you're doing? Are there any websites or socials that you use where people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, definitely. My email is Elijah at gobeyondthegame.org. The website is beyondthegame.org. And then my Instagram is DJ_smiles _. The best way to get a hold of me, or you can type it in on Google, Elijah Desmond, and I'm everywhere, LinkedIn, everywhere. And I'm the person that's responding to all of the socials. So.
Incredible. Thank you, Elijah. Appreciate you and your good work. And for everyone listening to this podcast, please remember you're doing life-saving work. It's worth it. Every seed planted, every time you spend time with these students, doing your craft, getting better, and investing, like he said, time, the stuff that's more valuable than money. That's how we're going to change lives. And so keep it up, and we'll see you next Monday on another episode of the Drug Prevention Power Hour.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Drug Prevention Power Hour podcast. If you love the show, make sure to leave a review and share what you've learned. And if you need help reducing substance use among youth by educating and engaging students in prevention, visit vive18.com for more information, tools, and resources.